Not only did Salman backstab Tarawna, he threw him under the bus.
You are truly delusional and a master of gaslighting while trying to speak with so much conviction and putting on full display your performative piety.
That's what I was just saying. They're taking all the skills of a da'i and applying them to this situation, right? Everything you're saying about this is how messed up you are, this is what you do, and you're applying that to what you're doing about this scandal. But every description that Salman gives is like, that is what the Dawah guys are now. That's like a description of what they do. This is creepy, man.
You accused me of backstabbing Sheikh Tarawna and throwing him under the bus. But it wasn't me who backstabbed him, was it? It was you that went on a tirade elaborating on allegations and investigations about him. The same man you and Hijab tried to use as evidence, but then quickly turned against him when his testimony backfired and no longer served your purpose. Ali, let me remind you of the message you sent me shortly after the video featuring Tarawna's testimonies. I was waiting for you to finally...
Wrong. I was waiting for you to finally release this video, yeah? Now the whole world is going to know some pretty damning stuff about Mohammed Tarawna, isn't it? That's how you're supposed to read it.
You released this video. Now the whole world is going to know some pretty damning stuff about Mohammed Tarawna. What an embarrassment. You accuse Salman of throwing Tarawna under the bus and proceed to literally do the same thing. This is school playground drama. The fact that you aired the Sheikh's dirty laundry only proves he was being blackmailed.
Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, because Mohammed Tarawna
is so weird.
There's an investigation going on before Salman's videos. So we could not orchestrate this. We can't have 10 plus people coming forward of harassment. Organizations I can't name for legal reasons.
You used him when it benefited you, then threw him to the
wolves.
Man,
hold on.
What's up?
It's so funny because the whole Islamic attitude is all the time that the Ummah is supposed to stick together and trust each other and all that. And here we are seeing right now, as everything unfolds and as everything is the whole dirty laundry is put out, that none of these guys actually trust each other. They're all like plotting behind each other's backs. What the heck?
Yeah, they're all recording and threatening each other and keeping records of each other, of everyone else's dirty deeds and so on. And then, by the way, for anyone who's watching and isn't really understanding why Ali Dawah would attack the Sheikh, right? Attack the Sheikh. Well, Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah. Blackmail the Sheikh and then attack the Sheikh and expose the Sheikh and put all this dirty laundry out there. Oh, you can't trust this Sheikh. You can't trust that Sheikh. That goes beyond this mere case. That goes beyond, right? This isn't just about this current case. That is a warning to people in the future. Right? Don't think we won't go through on our threats. We will. We will. If we've got dirt on you and we say, keep your mouth shut or we'll expose you and destroy your career, we mean that. So you have to follow. They have to follow through. This is a message to future whistleblowers who might want to be used to expose stuff and so on. Don't do it. Don't do it, because Ali Dawah will expose and destroy your life. Creepy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. This is clearly going through with the blackmail, but I just want to clarify the timeline of how Tarawna got involved here. So the first, as far as public goes, the first Behind Veils video says that they've talked to a sheikh, they've gotten a witness, but they don't name any names. Then not Mohammed Hijab releases his response to it and says, well, Sheikh Tarawna said this, and Sheikh Tarawna said that, and Sheikh Tarawna. And then after he's been dragged into it by Mohammed Hijab, then Behind Veils acknowledges that Sheikh Tarawna was a witness to it. And then after going through the whole saga, in the very last episode, they revealed that Tarawna had been blackmailed the whole time. They kind of implied it at the start when it was just an anonymous sheikh. They said that like he ended up in the hospital and such. But then they go through the explicit accusations in the last one. And then after that, Ali Dawah releases the video that we're looking at now. So when exactly did Behind Veils throw him under the bus? The only reason they brought up the name and showed the evidence was because Mohammed Hijab had invoked his name and used him as evidence. And then once that was done, Behind Veils defends him, basically, right? They released the clips that show that he was being genuine, that he was being forced into all this and whatnot. Then Ali Dawah literally throws him under the bus, goes through with the blackmail, reveals all the accusations that have been made against him, or at least allegedly been made. We're not actually 100% sure they're even real allegations to begin with. But even if they're real, I mean, that's what blackmail is most effective, right? Someone did something they're embarrassed about or illegal, or they don't want anyone to know about, and thus you can use it against them. If you're making it up, it's not nearly as effective as if it's true. So the idea that, oh, it couldn't be blackmail because people came forward with these accusations long ago is just utterly nonsense.
That's really, what a community, man. I wish, this makes me want to convert and become part of this awesome community.
Other hand, protected his name, praised his integrity, despite him being blackmailed. I gave him my word that I would defend him and that I would defend the truth.
I'm very disheartened just hearing this, but as I said, subhanAllah, please let me know anything that's happening and I will do my utmost any way that I can to ensure that I defend you and defend the truth, inshallah.
You see, that you defend me, but Jazakallah khairan, may Allah reward and bless you.
You see, I actually gave him my word that I would defend him for speaking the truth. Unlike Yuani, who actually attacked him for speaking the truth, all after using him and playing multiple voice notes from him in an effort to support your narrative. But then, all of a sudden, when he was no longer an asset to Team Hijab, you had to, quote, free yourself from him.
If this harassment's the truth, that's the 4th time it's happened. I have to free myself from him.
Absolutely.
I'm so noble. I'm so noble that I has to do the right thing, yeah?
Yeah.
You got the most evil scumbags in the world on Team Hijab, and then talking about how we have to do the right thing to protect the women's, yeah?
Yeah, he has to free himself of them when he learns of these accusations that he learned about in February by making a video about it in May. Very plausible.
Smart, Ali.
Convenient timing. Use him when he benefits you and discard him when he doesn't. You know, that tactic sounds rather familiar, maybe a bit like Hijab's deceptive marriage to Sister Aisha. Use them when they're of benefit and discard them when they become a liability.
And lastly, the reason I'm doing this video is to free myself of Mohammed Hijab.
If your teacher is not a sheikh and you want to free yourself from him, then why in your earlier videos were you using him as a source to defend hijab earlier in the scandal?
Wait, hang on. So just tell you I have a problem with a timeline on all this stuff. It's too much stuff. It's too much stuff all at once, Thaddeus. So anyway.
All right.
So hang on. Just to be clear. Ali Dawah is supposedly aware of this stuff about Sheikh Tarana long before they're using him as a reliable source to defend Mohammed Hijab and expose Aisha. And then when it's pointed out that they're blackmailing him, then Ali Dawah say, oh, but you know, I just have to expose this guy because he's evil and can't be trusted. It's like, wait, anything you knew and anything you were doing was before you were using him as your defense, as your main defense. Okay. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Okay.
there's 3 relevant videos on Mohammed Hijab's side. There's non-Mohammed Hijab video 1, Ali Dawah video, and then Mohammed Hijab video 2. And all 3 of those videos, they play clips from Tarana to try to defend hijab.
I'm going to reveal to you guys why Mohammed Hijab really ended up in hospital and how everything is going to make perfect sense. Not only that, it's going to leave Salman in a big dilemma.
Big dilemma. I'm still failing to comprehend what this so-called big dilemma is.
I've got a big dilemma for you guys. It's on a completely different topic, though. But you can ask me about it later. Ask me about what we call the Islamic dilemma. This is a minor dilemma right here compared to the Islamic dilemma. But
Well, it's very funny, right? Ali Dawah thinks that there's like a dilemma here, but actually all the options are fine for Salman, right? He actually has three options. He could just ignore the accusations against Tarani and say nothing. He can investigate them and come out and defend him, or he could investigate him and say, yep, he's a creep too. Like none of those undermine anything he said, right? None of those undermine his own credibility. So there's actually not even a hint of a dilemma, really, because it's Mohammed Hijab who is relying on him as his proof of innocence.
You believe I would find myself in. I literally laid out exactly what you were going to do.
Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, because Mohammed Tarani knew there's an investigation going on before Salman's videos. So we could not orchestrate this. The video that was released by Salman was on the 6th of April. The investigation that started by two sisters, not by myself, not by Mohammed Hijab, two sisters came forward and an investigation happened. And this is my message. You can see the date, 11 February to Sheikh Mohammed. I'm with my wife, Sheikh, I can't talk as it's a private matter and now involves allegations about you. And now the organization is being brought into this.
You said he ended up in the hospital due to allegations that go back many years. Strange, because February 11th, the day you claim you messaged him about these investigations, is the exact same day he called me in distress, reading out Hijab's blackmailing messages. But you wanted to make it appear to the public that all this happened on or after April 6th, when we published the first video. And since you either have selective memory or manipulative storytelling tactics, maybe you should listen to exactly what Tarana read to me on February 11th with regards to the threatening messages that Mohammed Hijab had sent him.
So, Thaddeus. So these guys try to use Sheikh Tarana to defend Hijab. Behind Veils posts a video saying, no, Hijab is blackmailing him. Then in response, just make sure, let me know where I'm wrong here. In response, Ali Dawah says, no, Sheikh Tarana was really in the hospital because he found out there's an investigation against him that was going on before all this. This is in February. He found out he's being investigated by the power of the Ummah task force that are sent in to investigate claims of abuse. He found out, and this makes him really, really scared, so scared it traumatizes him and he ends up in the hospital. And this was all before this. So this couldn't have had anything to do with blackmail. This has to be because he was being investigated and he knows he's about to be exposed for all his abuse. And so this was in February, so it can't have anything to do with Hijab blackmailing him. And then behind Veils here, Salman is saying, no, actually, the day that he went to the hospital, the day you're talking about, that's the day he messaged me and he told me that he's being blackmailed. So he's basically got the receipts. No, this is because of the blackmail, and I have the proof that the blackmail was going on back in February. Do I have all of that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And let me just add a couple clarifying points. The fact that it's the same exact day, I think, is actually pretty important. I think that Mohammed Hijab probably learned about it, maybe on the 10th, maybe on the 11th, but basically immediately that Behind Veils was doing an investigation. I mean, they found out they were doing an investigation, immediately contacted Tarani, said, if you talk to them, you're in big trouble, and simultaneously contacted Ali Dawah and said, I've just learned about all these accusations against Tarani, and it's really bad, and so on and so forth. And then Ali Dawah contacts Tarani and said, I just learned about a bunch of things against you. I think that Ali Dawah probably didn't know that it was related to blackmail. And the previous Behind Veils videos did not make the timeline clear at all. It was certainly possible for someone who'd watched this whole thing to assume that the blackmail happened after April 6th, after the first video was released. It would have fit in with the timeline. And thus, Ali Dawah decides to make this video, or Mohammed Hijab decides Ali Dawah needs to make this video, and says, we can just say that the blackmail happened, after this time, or the supposed blackmail that never existed happened after this time. And it'll fool everyone because they don't know when these messages took place. And it's a perfect solution to the problem, is to say he couldn't have been blackmailed because he was in the hospital way back in February for learning about these accusations when Ali Dawah contacted him and let him know that the accusations had been made against him. Little did they know that the actual timeline was exactly identical, that it was February 11th when Tarani told him he was being blackmailed.
Ali Dawah, you're looking all kinds of stupid right now, bro. All kinds.
Me that a blackmail. Initially, he was saying, I will not do nothing. If you didn't stand against me, I will not do nothing against them after the patient. I have run out of patience, and I will be taking necessary steps by midnight tonight, all within bounds of Sharia and law. However, you have one final chance to set things up. By the midnight, you must do the following. Look at what he said. Send me a WhatsApp voice message acknowledging that you misrepresented the situation after hearing only one side, specifically the fabrication of evidence and testimonial or testimonies, and apologize for the harm caused. But then the next point is inform the reporters the truth, retract your statement, and provide me with a screenshot as a proof. If you fail to do both, I will proceed accordingly without further warning in full compliance with Sharia and law. Phase 1 of the consequence will be set into motion immediately after the deadline.
So Hijab says, midnight tonight, if you do not exonerate me and say, oh, yeah, I was wrong, my bad, I should not have said these things, and I misinterpreted things and I got things wrong, but Mohammed Hijab is as pure as the driven snow, would never do anything wrong, and if you don't do that by midnight, I'm going to set things in motion, which he then does, and Ali Dawah says, yeah, so now he's got to expose you for your evil and wickedness. That's indisputably blackmail. That's 100% blackmail. You're going to say these things or I'm going to destroy your life. Good stuff.
Indeed. So Tarani does send him a voicemail. It doesn't give him exactly what he wants, or it doesn't tell him, but it was good enough for Hijab to use it in his video. But notice he wants two things, right? He wants there to be a voicemail that he can use in the event he needs it. And then he wants him to also lie to Behind Veils and say, I retract everything. I learned that Aisha was deceiving me, blah, 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 so that they stop the investigation or, they conclude differently, because this is all why it's still private, right? This is all long before the video is published on YouTube. Hijab has this great plan of how to get away with this, and it's through quite clearly blackmailing Tarani. But instead, so Tarani does send the voice note to Hijab, but then instead of sending it to Behind Veils as well, he tells them exactly what's going on, right? I'm being blackmailed. Hijab's coming after me. And he says he's going to expose all this stuff instead of lying to them as well.
Rough.
This was the blackmail message sent by Hijab back on February 11th, stating he must acknowledge that he misrepresented the situation, retract the statement, and apologize. So what was the voice note Hijab played on his first response video? Let's have a listen.
However, upon closer examination of her baseless claims and after being presented with the actual text messages highlighted in this video, Mr. Tarani came to a sobering realization. He had been deceived. Let us now listen to his own words and witness the moment this deception is laid bare.
I just wanted to acknowledge that I was kind of misled. I should have paid attention to all the details before dealing with it. But anyway, at the end of the day, it is a mistake which I wanted to apologize.
Well played. Well played. Mohammed Hijab.
Bravo.
Your thuggish blackmailing tactics almost worked.
Almost.
That is, until the truth was laid bare. And Ali, it's quite interesting how you make this whole emotional scene about not blackmailing Tarana. You play another misleading voice note from him. But yet you consciously and strategically chose not to address all of the points Tarana relayed about being blackmailed. What about the recording of Sheikh Tarana directly saying that Mohammed Hijab blackmailed him and that the Sheikh says he is very ill because of it? And then you pretend this whole investigation started nearly 2 months before our first video and that it had nothing to do with the release of the allegations against Mohammed Hijab.
and he thought this was because of the whole hijab situation. Brothers and sisters, the video was released on 6th of April. This investigation started, this complaints again came back on 11th of February. That's 2 months ago, before any Salman video.
Once again.
So hang on. So again, I think this is obvious at this point, but so Ali Dawah is pretending to his dumb, stupid, idiot followers, who apparently in this situation, there's enough of them that aren't even falling for that. So in other words, he's assumed that even his followers who are complete idiots are actually dumber than they are. They're not even falling for this. That he's acting like all this stuff comes out in April, and therefore all this blackmail stuff couldn't have been connected to that because this started in April, when in reality the behind the veils guys are doing all this investigation behind the scenes long before their video comes out. It's pretty.
Yeah, the total investigation was 8 months, so they'd already been investigating it 6 months when Hijab found out about it, I guess, and decided, or at least found out that Tarane knew. He might not have known that behind veils knew about Tarane and was talking to him. But that's when he found out they were talking to Tarane, and that's when he started blackmailing him 6 months into the 8-month investigation.
I have to conclude, there's some stuff that Ali Dawah could be in the dark about, like as far as Mohammed Hijab not giving him full details and information. But at this point, I think Ali Dawah has to know he's being deceptive here. Like, he has to know that saying, oh, but the video came out in April, isn't it? Oh, there's no way that this has anything to do with that. He has to know that's complete idiotic nonsense.
This drama has the most ridiculous plot I've heard in my life.
It is. It's like, I mean, seriously though, like, it's so there's so much stuff going on, and then referring back and so on, and then stuff that goes back years, and then different recordings and screenshots from different times. It's like, if these behind veils guys weren't so like thorough and meticulous, it would be easy. It would be easy for someone like Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab to throw people off what actually happened. So you actually got the guys who are the perfect foils for this nonsense.
The message that Torana relayed to me about being blackmailed by Hijab, that was on February 11th, the exact same day that you stated the investigation and the complaints against Torana originated.
Number 2, he ended up in hospital because of, since 2019, of these alleged harassments going about him. There's an investigation going. That's why he ended up, because he realized multiple organizations are coming forth of complaints and 10 plus witnesses, and we've got text messages, all this kind of stuff. That's why, brothers and sisters, that's why he ended up in hospital.
Let's be absolutely clear. Sheikh Torana ended up in the hospital because of Mohammed Hijab, the very person who threatened him, blackmailed him, and then launched a smear campaign against him. Hijab is a thug cloaked in religiosity, and you, Ali Dawah, have done everything in your power to cover up for him. Twisting timelines, warping facts, and performing digital gymnastics to confuse the ummah.
So in this scenario, Mohammed Hijab is basically the Jeffrey Epstein, not nearly as smart as Jeffrey Epstein, but Mohammed Hijab is the Jeffrey Epstein, and Ali Dawah is the, what's her name, Ghislaine Maxwell or something like that, of this whole situation. Okay, great job, Ali Dawah. You make us want to convert to your religion.
Wait, why did the Sheikh go to the hospital? Why did he land in the hospital? I'm not asking what it was a result of, but for what was he in the hospital? I don't understand.
Probably some sort of panic. Probably some sort of panic attack or something like that.
Yeah, he said that he was, very stressed out, was having heart palpitations, wasn't eating, stuff like that. So basically, a panic attack.
So Mohammed Hijab comes out and says, "Hey, I'm basically destroying your entire life. Starting tomorrow, there's gonna be all these accusations against you of all this abuse that you've been committing all these years, all because you're not lying for me right now." And this sends him into some sort of panic attack, and he goes to the hospital.
Nice.
Is that about right, Thaddeus?
Yep. Yep.
But the deception ends here. Let's break this timeline down step by step and watch how your narrative, Ali, falls apart. On May 19th, Ali Dawah published a response video 2 weeks after a bombshell revelation of how Mohammed Hijab had begun blackmailing Sheikh Torana and everything that precipitated due to it. So Ali Dawah thought he was smart. He painted a timeline saying that
Ali Dawah thought he was smart? Oh my goodness.
allegations against Torana originated on February 11th, almost 2 months prior to Behind Veils releasing the first video regarding Mohammed Hijab. So he tried to use this timeline to defend himself and Hijab, claiming that it had nothing to do with this case and that I had tried to conveniently associate the two. But here's the details Ali never thought would be revealed. January 31st, we first contacted Mohammed Hijab directly and privately. We raised the issues we had uncovered, but instead of addressing them sincerely, Hijab started playing games, evading questions, flipping narratives, and issuing veiled threats. It was at that point that we reached out to Sheikh Mohammed Torana. We needed to understand what had really happened, and over the course of the next few weeks, I had multiple conversations with the Sheikh.
Everyone see this? So April 6th, they released their video, and then Ali Dawah's defense is going to be, but Mohammed Torana being in the hospital can't have anything to do with us blackmailing him, yeah? Because that was back in February, and it was because we was investigating him, yeah? And then these guys put together the full timeline. No, back in January, they initiated a discussion with Mohammed Hijab, calling him out, saying, "Hey, there's some stuff. We're trying to resolve this. Let's figure out a way to resolve this." And then earlier in February, Behind Veils initiates discussions with Mohammed Torana. And Mohammed Torana finds out that he's being used as the witness here. Mohammed Hijab threatens him February 11th, says, "You need to take back the things that you've said and say that you were misled and you were wrong and apologize. So I have the recording, which exonerates me. If you don't do that, I will expose you for doing horrible stuff." And then Ali Dawah. And then on the 12th, the very next day, Mohammed Torana states Hijab has begun attacking him. So this is all Ali Dawah tries to get past all of this by total deception.
These guys are very intelligent, man.
Yeah. This is and this, guys, this is really, I mean, seriously, I've talked about this before, that you have manipulators and they're manipulating their followers, but the followers condition the manipulator as well, because they make you think you can get away with anything. That's why Andrew Tate will say something and then 2 months later say the exact opposite and say he never said the original thing, and his followers will believe him. But that's why he'll keep doing stuff that is easy to expose. His followers have conditioned him that no matter what he says or how he contradicts himself or how he lies, they'll just keep cheering for him. And that leads him to believe that he can get away with saying anything. He doesn't need to be careful. He can be extremely sloppy. It doesn't matter. That's how the Dawah guys are. No matter how idiotic their argument or their point is, their fans will just cheer for them no matter what. And that conditions you over time. You don't need to be careful. You can be as sloppy as anything, and you'll get away with it. And now they're not getting away with it, and they don't know what to do. Hence, panic set in.
February 11th. This was the day things escalated. Hijab had come to know that we were speaking to Sheikh Torana, and that the truth was close to coming out. So what did he do? He launched a blackmail campaign. He sent threatening messages to Sheikh Torana, messages the Sheikh himself read to me over the phone in distress. Hijab gave him a midnight deadline, demanded that he retract his statements, issues an apology, and sends proof of it, or face consequences. This wasn't some vague exchange. It was direct, calculated intimidation. That is the real trigger that led to Sheikh Torana's health collapsing and ultimately being hospitalized. That same day, February 11th, Ali Dawah conveniently claims that this is the day allegations against the Sheikh surfaced from two sisters, and that somehow this justifies the collapse. But Ali never expected us to have evidence showing that on this exact same day, Sheikh Torana was being blackmailed, not by any sisters, but by Mohammed Hijab himself. So either, 1, you're using that date to manufacture an alibi, or 2, you were already informed of Hijab's blackmail and chose to use this investigation as a smokescreen to discredit the Sheikh in case he spoke up. February.
Everyone, these are your Dawah heroes. These are the heroes of Dawah. These are the people we're supposed to listen to when they give us these arguments that we look at them and say, you know, you're lying about the Quran. You know, you're lying about the Hadith. You know, you're lying to make your case. No, they would never lie. They're so great. And this is how they are.
They would never lie. Man.
Yeah, it's like, what do these guys have to do before you realize you're dealing with narcissists and complete chronic compulsive liars? What does it take?
But at least they're not Christian, yeah?
Yeah, that's all that matters, yeah.
12th, I continued my conversations with Sheikh Torana. He shared how hijab was now going behind the scenes, contacting organizations and leaders, trying to destroy his credibility. He was clearly distressed, emotionally wrecked, and fearful of what was unfolding. So what did Ali try and do in his last video? A desperate attempt of damage control, laying the groundwork and preparing a script to confuse the timeline and discredit the Sheikh. So let's summarize. We contacted Mohammed Hijab on January 31st. Hijab begins blackmailing Sheikh Torana on February 11th. Sheikh Torana reads the blackmail messages to me on February 11th. Ali conveniently claims investigations began that same day. Then Sheikh Torana's health begins spiraling under pressure from Hijab's threats. And the following day, he is hospitalized. And now, after all of this, Ali, you want the world to believe that this was unrelated? That it all just happened to overlap?
It's a coincidence, yeah?
No, Ali. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a cover-up. You were and continue to be.
That was perfect. I said, it's a coincidence, yeah? And he said,
responded to you.
Not. He responded to me as Ali Dawah. That's funny.